the sound of this week's show is going to blow people away.
It's different than ever.
It's so good.
Does it sound pretty crisp?
Oh, it's so damn good.
We got new microphones.
We are upgrading every single week.
Well, we all get the same microphones, right?
Right.
So that's a little bit of a game changer. But yet Paul is the only one with headphones, so he can hear how we sound.
We're just getting the ambient room.
Do me a in a world.
In a world.
Do me an in a world.
In a world.
In a world where Ben's music starts playing.
Then you're listening to this podcast. That was a hell of a teaser, guys. We really jumped in on that one. That one. If the audience is not like, oh my God, I'm riveted, I can't wait to hear what's next, we've not done our job.
Do you get the sense that our friends and family are sort of sitting back going, what are these guys doing?
Yeah, there definitely are.
Yeah, I think they are.
But I think I think there's three responses when they hear it. The comments are either, it's so nice that these guys have something to do with their spare time.
Yeah.
Like that's one of them.
Yeah.
Another one is family members at above a certain age, parents whose responses are either I don't get it or
why are you wasting your time?
Is this going to make you any money?
Why are you going back over to Mitch's again on a Saturday at 2:00?
Well, and then there are children who have never listened to it. I actually was leaving my house for the record today. That one of my daughters was like, "Weren't you guys supposed to start at 2?" I said the call time has been adjusted to 2:15. And she said, well, just make sure you speak more slowly. And I said, have you listened to any one of the shows? And she's like, no. I'm like, then why are you giving me advice?
I mean, I keep walking around the neighborhood and people are like, hey, what are you guys doing? People who know us mutually, they're like, yeah.
Really?
Yeah, they're like, I think I'm going to subscribe and listen. I'm like, that's great.
No, that hasn't really happened.
My own kids aren't doing that.
That's a couple of my buddies from back east actually reached out and followed, and they're listening. So shout out to Sean Coyle.
Oh, Sean, Mr.
We're
Coyle.
shouting out to people now. Yeah. Okay, all right.
Subscribe and we'll shout out.
Well, I'd like to shout out to my writing partner, Derek, who was very kind enough to sort of post this on his socials, and anyone who knows Derek knows he knows everybody in town.
Wow.
So hopefully everyone who follows him will now follow us.
And I don't have anybody's name to shout out. not yet. But soon I will if they deliver. But what I was going to say about the music is that I was 5 minutes away from writing lyrics to the theme song.
There are no lyrics to the theme song.
There can be. They used to say there was no lyrics to the Simpsons theme song, and then somebody came out with lyrics to the theme song to the Simpsons.
Yeah, I think Simpsons maybe's got a bit more of a track record. I think since we're relatively new, let's keep the mystique.
If I write lyrics, would you sing it with the song?
Oh no,
I think you're the singer. From what I remember, from what I remember from karaoke.
I remember karaoke. Yeah.
It's funny. It's funny you say that because the picture from was it your birthday?
No, it was
whose birthday was it?
It was
Bill's.
Bill's.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. There was a picture popped up on my phone the other day of you singing Mitch at the karaoke night.
I was singing?
Yeah,
I don't think so.
I swear you were singing.
Did you and Kristen sing?
I'll show you the picture.
By the way, I am a horrible singer. I don't think I realized how bad I actually am. And I think Paul started singing, and I was like, oh, that's I'm actually pretty bad.
Level, yeah.
I'm okay. I've gotten worse over the years.
It's pretty good, though. It's pretty solid.
All right, thanks.
You know what would really sing?
Oh, this is going to be a great transition segue. Go ahead.
As if one of us reached into the popcorn bowl and picked up our topic for the week.
So just to say, this is our 6th show, right? And in none of the previous shows has any topic come from the hand and pen of Mr. Mitch Graham. Is that correct?
That's correct. I think we should keep the streak going, and let's pick another one of your guys.
All right.
No, I think it's going to be yours. I keep saying it.
Pick it out of the bowl. Oh, I can hear that. These mics are amazing.
Okay.
It sounded like you were making a food item of some kind. Here we go.
Now, by the way, I actually think this might be mine.
Oh, fantastic.
Couldn't you tell by the fold?
Just the fold. I'm literally picking the fold. All right, here we go.
All right. Is it one of yours?
It is not. It is not. Very quickly, my dreams are dashed.
How is this possible?
Remember how we agreed we were going to not say how many episodes it's been, but the fact that we're on a 6-episode streak and Mitch has still not gotten a topic of his own feels like
it's hilarious.
Until
me.
Mitch gets a topic,
we
have to let everyone know what number it is.
Well, I know exactly whose this is.
Whose is it?
By the handwriting.
Oh, that's probably mine again.
This has been Rabs.
Uh-oh.
And the topic for this podcast will be guitars.
Oh, I didn't expect that one.
Guitars.
There we go.
You just put things on pieces of paper that you wanted to talk about.
Correct.
That's like super...
Oh, is that how it works?
I mean, do you not want to talk about the topics you're putting down?
No, I do.
Should we explain how it works real quick? Real quick?
Go ahead, Mitch.
No, you do it. You're much better at this.
Every week, we hover above the popcorn bowl. We write on multiple slips of paper ideas that we believe we can talk about for at least 30 minutes.
But
what?
When we put our hand in, we make sure that we do not pick one of Mitch's items. Right? That's the sort of theme we're playing with.
That's the goal.
Well, that is not the goal. That is just an unfortunate
I can't. Well, like, you're going to have a string of like... I don't know how many episodes at some point.
I think we have to stop putting items in the bowl until we get one of mine, because I think we're
I don't know.
I don't know. Okay.
We have to check the bylaws.
Okay.
All right, guitars. I think it's important for Ben for you to tell us what motivated you to put that down. Other than, of course, if people have listened to other episodes, they know that you were in a band. They know that you've composed music. I don't know what else.
They know who your favorite band is.
So they know that too.
Correct. All these are correct. I love the instrument. I think the instrument, out of any instrument in all the history of instruments, it's the one that for whatever reason speaks to me the most. Not just because I learned how to play it, amateurishly. Let's be honest, I'm no professional here, but I just think there's something about the sound of a guitar and its place in music that I particularly love.
Do you remember your first guitar, when you got your first guitar?
I do. I was 14 years old. My friend Alan, who was in my band in high school, he played piano and keyboard, and we were just really into music. And because he was playing an instrument, I'm like, I think I'd like to learn an instrument. I never really took lessons growing up, so for Hanukkah of
break out the...
I mean, I tell you one thing, with that mic, you picked that up.
Oh, you break out the...
Listen.
I like it.
Yeah. So Hanukkah of 1984 was when, what did I want for Hanukkah? I was like, I think I would like guitar lessons. So lo and behold, my folks were cool enough to let me get guitar lessons, and I started learning. And the first guitar I had was one that we sort of rented from the music shop. It was just an acoustic guitar. I don't remember the brand particularly, but the very first electric guitar I ever owned was an Aria Pro 2.
Do you recall the first song you learned?
Yes. It was, I believe it was Rolling Stones' As Tears Go By. No, that was not it. That was the second one. No, the first one was just the chord progression of House of the Rising Sun.
Mm-hmm. Let me ask you a question. Yeah. You remember, how most people will say, hey, where were you when JFK was shot?
Yes.
Right? Where were you when the shuttle exploded?
I was in high school.
Okay, well, those aren't my questions. So the question is,
I wasn't born when JFK
when you
was
were
shot.
handed your first guitar, paint a picture for us.
It was just it was exciting. It was that going into the shop, trying to pick out one that obviously, your first one, you're not going to buy the most expensive one. You don't need the most expensive one. You don't know how to play yet. Excuse me. But it was just sort of trying out different ones that felt right. Like, your hand on the neck. Can you actually play this one? Is it too big? Is it too small? Whatever. How does it feel? Does the weight of it? How does it feel? And then the sound of it. Once you find that sound that's like, oh, that sounds like the right sound, then that's when you go.
I've never heard of that brand.
Aria Pro 2.
Aria is it still a guitar brand?
I believe they were bought by either they were a Japanese company or they were bought by a Japanese company a long time ago. I don't know if they are still in existence or if you can just get them as like vintage guitars, but they are a fantastic starter guitar. I thought I started with one that was sort of a Les Paul style, so a thicker body without the cutout, without the cutouts like a Stratocaster has. But my second one was a Strat style Aria.
Did you have groups of friends who had guitars as well, and they had See, because when I hear aria, like I had a Fender Strat at one point.
Yeah.
But I feel like you had the aria where there were other people who had, like, Fenders felt like the guitar to get.
Yeah, of course. I mean, Fender or Gibson, yes, those were. If I was further down the road, I would have gone with one of those, but I wasn't. Just starting out, you don't need that. You don't need a super expensive guitar. You need one that you can play, based on your experience level.
Yeah.
I'm always struck. And this is why I'm always happy that we're doing this podcast, because the fact that you had a Fender, the fact that you had an Aria, I did not have a guitar. I'm always struck by the different childhoods that we had, right?
Did you ever take any music lessons?
I didn't, and you know what? I regret it. I do. It's one of the few things that I do regret. I even regretted not taking piano lessons, and at one point my mother sort of lightly pushed me in that direction, but I never did it. But
I took piano lessons.
Did you?
I also know how to play the harmonica.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
God,
busted out.
I missed that.
Mm-hmm.
I missed that window in my life. I should have.
Not for harmonica.
Wow.
You could seriously look, if you were going to start now to learn, you're not going to learn piano. Like, you're not going to come home from work and do an hour practice. Guitar, I mean, we'll talk about it. I've watched 1 billion YouTube videos to try to play certain things.
Sorry guys.
If you heard
that,
if you heard the sneeze, then it means these mics are amazing. But I've tried to, like, I can play chords.
Yeah.
But I can't finger you know what I mean? Like, all the different notes.
Hey, this is a family show, buddy.
Sorry. But harmonica, I think, Mitch, like, if you wanted to take up a musical instrument now,
that's the one.
How hard is that? That's not that hard.
Yeah.
I'm gonna argue.
You could be the next Huey Lewis or Bruce. Well, does Bruce Springsteen use the harmonica? Yeah.
I'm going to argue against your point that you have to start with the harmonica as your only option at this age. I feel like you probably got a few more years ahead of you.
Yeah, I could jump in there.
You could learn just about any instrument you wanted.
I do. I think if
I limit him, Paul. Like, that seems
But it's so much work.
If I could learn,
how much time? Listen, how much time do you have to learn a musical instrument right now?
Well, I've got 2 hours every Saturday.
Not anymore. You don't. No, not
that
anymore.
time is spoken for.
So I think if I could learn any instrument at this age, I think I would probably do the drums. Yeah, I know. By the way, I know. I totally get it. It's the wrong choice. I totally get it.
It's a great choice.
It's a great choice. It's probably the hardest choice, but it's a great choice.
And it's probably the most expensive choice as well.
Yeah,
it's not actually, because they have now these Bluetooth drumsticks, and you don't even need any drums. You just stand, like, you're in midair, and it knows, where these fake drums are existing in your space.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Do you know what I mean? Like, so you don't need to. Yeah.
I think that's the coolest. Like, when Ben and I have talked about this before. Like, Tom Sawyer's legitimately one of my top 3 favorite songs ever,
right.
And the whole reason is because of the drum solo. Like, that's the whole thing of that song for me personally.
I can agree with that.
Yeah, but I want to go back to the guitar days real quick. So when you first got your guitar, you were 14 years old.
Yeah.
You were in New York.
Yeah.
Did you I've seen your hair back in the day. Did you immediately feel a little sexier and a little cooler?
No, there was nothing cool about me. I mean, let's be honest. And that hair that you're referencing wasn't there yet, right? Like, I hadn't grown it out into the late 80s.
John Stamos. Didn't you have John Stamos hair?
Tracy refers to it as the Richard Marx.
Richard Marx.
That was not intentional. I was gunning for 1980s era Alex Lifeson, but it wasn't quite there.
A little pointier, like Richard Marx. I can see that.
A little, kind of like the lead singer of Night Ranger.
Oh,
a little bit.
Is that Jack Blades? Is that his name?
Yeah, Jack Blades.
Yeah, no.
Sister Christian.
No, that's a
great
lot more
song.
hair.
That was a lot more hair.
That got a lot more hair.
Yeah,
but yeah, no, I did not feel cool at all.
Did it help you socially? Did it like, did people think you were cooler when you got up and played at the Putting on the Ritz tour?
Wait a second, when you played
Put on the hits.
What did you call it?
Putting on the Ritz. My bad.
When you went to play Putting on the Hits, were you rocking your Aria guitar?
Yes. At that point, yes. That was the white Strat copy. Yes. We also performed, my band in high school, we performed at the 250th, or no, sorry, not the 250th, the bicentennial, I believe it was, of the Constitution.
This was a government-sponsored event?
It was a town-sponsored event.
Town-sponsored?
The town of Cedarhurst.
Right.
I was working at a record store, Cedarhurst Music, also known as Oz Rock.
There's so much story here.
I know. This is
We've tapped a very rich vein for me.
We actually will learn more about each other doing this than ever having a drink.
I legitimately panicked when I saw guitars, but I think we're gonna be okay. We can fill it.
Well, I mean, I got a lot to talk about on the subject, I guess. But
sorry, go ahead.
well, but to answer your question,
Yeah.
we performed. So the town closed off the streets on a Wednesday night, so that where the stores were always open later anyway. For whatever reason, our town had
Right.
a Wednesday night was like keep your stores open until 10 o'clock as opposed to 6 o'clock, and so the whole town came and they closed off the streets, and we performed right in front of the record store where I worked, and my parents came to watch the performance. And we're playing, and there's kids our age, roughly, maybe high school kids, whatever. And my dad goes to this one girl. He goes, I'll never forget the story. He's like, "This guy's any good?" and the way his response was, he goes, "This girl says to me, they're great." I was like, "What's that accent, Dad? What is that? What 50-year-old high school student did you talk to that spoke like that?"
I wish we could find her now.
I don't know who it was. I have no idea who
Do
it
you
was.
think she's still alive?
I hope so.
Because she was probably 16-ish.
Yeah.
That's what's crazy. Like, think about this. You just told that story. Right now, as we're recording this podcast, that girl, who probably still has the same accent, is somewhere in the world right now.
Everybody who attended that performance is,
I mean, I hope.
maybe made an impression that was good, or maybe they're like, these guys are terrible.
So when you were playing, what were the guitars that the other people had that you were playing with?
Well, we were a 4-piece, so it was me on guitar, my friend
it.
Jeremy on bass, Alan on keyboards and vocals, and Adam on drums. So,
But you were making me think the aria thing gave me a flashback moment to when I was growing up. Atari 2600 was like the Fender Strat of video game consoles.
Yeah.
And my parents got me the ColecoVision.
ColecoVision was better than Atari.
ColecoVision hardly had any games. Plus, it was like these
What?
controllers. Remember the
No.
controllers looked like an ATM pin code thing?
Okay, first of all, Coleco was a far better system than Atari.
Atari 2600 had like every game.
Yeah, but the Coleco. Okay,
I don't remember Coleco.
It launched with Donkey Kong.
Okay.
Which was
Which is the
graphics
only
on that were so much better than the graphics on the Atari Donkey.
But he doesn't even know. Have you even heard of ColecoVision?
I've never heard of ColecoVision.
See?
It was a good system.
I felt like I had the aria of video game consoles because nobody outside of Donkey Kong, there was nothing else that you even knew
Donkey
about.
Kong Jr.
Venture, remember Venture? Like they had all these crappy, ridiculous games. Looping, like
I remember Looping.
it was.
Totally.
It was like a plane, just like a biplane. Like that's not. It wasn't Yar's Revenge. It wasn't.
By the way, Yars was plural.
What do you mean? Yar, was it Yar Revenge?
YARS apostrophe revenge.
This is either the best tangent or the worst tangent we've ever gone down.
It just made me think.
This is where you're going. What are we talking about?
Well, here's the thing. Like, we're for Mitch. Weren't there any moments when you were growing up where it reminds me of that old Eddie Murphy story? I think from Raw or one of his concerts, where he talked about how his parents would never buy him McDonald's. They would just make the burgers at
we got
home,
McDonald's at home.
and he would be like feel embarrassed that he didn't have the brand that everybody else had.
Yeah.
So like, Ben, I don't sense that Ben really cared that he had an Aria and not a Fender.
No, I eventually got there.
I clearly cared that I had a Coleco, not an Atari. Did you have something that your parents got for you? And I'm sure your mom is listening, so now's the chance to let her know how they scarred you. Was there something that they bought you that was like almost as good as the thing you wanted, but not the actual, was it not Nikes, but it was...
Well, let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
What kind of jeans did you wear in high school? And let's back it up. What kind of jeans did you wear in middle school? What was the prevailing brand at that point?
I feel like it was Levi.
Probably Levi,
Pretty
right?
much. Yeah.
Okay. So if there was any
Or Lee. I mean,
Or
Levi
Lee.
and Lee were kinda-
Levi Wrangler, maybe?
Yeah, maybe Wrangler if you're a country boy. I don't know.
Yeah.
So I think this was more by necessity than them skimping out on me, but I had to buy Husky jeans because your buddy was a little bit of a chubster, and I needed to have some Huskier jeans, and they had the big Husky label on the back, which
No,
was
they
not a
didn't.
fun thing to wear through the
a
middle
little
school.
bigger than some of the other labels.
Yeah.
Wait,
so,
the actual label of the brand is called Husky brand jeans?
Oh, yeah.
I always just thought it was another brand. I
Listen,
didn't
no.
connect that it was.
You got to be tough to wear Husky jeans in middle school. Okay?
That scars one for life, doesn't it?
Yeah. Almost as much as I've told this story many, many times. when I was in middle school, my dad or my mom, I can't remember which. I think I've told Ben this story. I don't know if I've told you this, Paul.
right.
My parents bought this little pig. It's a little pink pig.
A real pig.
No. Little pink pig that was like, it would oink and right? It was in the refrigerator.
By the way, let me just tell you
How does
something.
that sound?
Yeah.
That sounds amazing.
Sounds pretty good, right?
It's good, yeah.
Light sensitive. So when you would open the refrigerator, the light would kick on. It would go. And every time I would open it, and they bought it specifically for me, so that when I went in there to grab like some whipped cream just with my hand, just to start eating some whipped cream with my hand, they'd be like,
Why
"Wait
are
a
you eating
minute,
whipped cream with your hand?
why not? Why not?
Just
It's so
shoving it
good.
in?
Wait, is
Like
it
a big
cool? Is it
spoon.
Cool Whip?
Cool Whip. It's so good.
That's
Anyway,
not even whipped
I mean, we don't. Yeah,
Spoon.
I'm just saying. Anything that I was going to get, I had a bit of a traumatic experience with.
Wow.
So husky jeans would probably be the answer to your question. So that was but again, more of necessity versus them just not getting me the real thing.
Whoa.
Wow,
Yeah,
that
I
was.
know. Did I take it down? I
didn't-
took it down.
No, that was.
Listen, I actually look back on my husky days. It's not a bad thing. You know what I mean? I would put on my huskies. My buddies would make fun of me. I'd sort of go through it, and I'd be like, okay, I'm
But
fine.
is the difference between the Husky brand and the normal brand is it just the bigger waist? Is it wider leg holes?
By the way, it's a great question. I don't know because
Okay.
you're right. Why wouldn't I just get bigger
yeah, just get a bigger waist.
Wranglers, right?
Yeah.
Maybe I don't know. It's a really good question. I think it was like a training tool to see if I could handle the pressure of wearing Huskies. I don't know.
I mean, honestly, I feel like of the two things that you just mentioned, the pig's a little bit more. I think I think way more of a trauma, right?
Call my buddy Ted and ask him about the pig, and he'll be like, "Oh my god, it was crazy." Like because also. You know, you'd come in, and the pig stayed in the refrigerator for like 7 years. So when we would come in high school, we'd be drunk. We'd open the refrigerator in the middle of the night. The light would go on.
Wait, that thing was there through
Out the
high
house.
school?
Oh yeah, no, it was amazing.
How is it powered?
Battery, just a battery, and they would. Yes, that means they had to replace the batteries. Yeah, that's right.
Like every 6 months. you
every
have to
6
replace
months.
The batteries.
Yeah.
Do you
It's
have
pretty
a
good.
picture of it?
I don't, but if you call my mom, she could probably find one. It's pretty good.
Do
I mean, it was.
Do you think she still has it?
I don't know.
Was it made by like a toy brand? Was it made by a culinary brand? Like,
Here's what I'm gonna say.
who made that?
That's
It
crazy.
was
That
pretty
evil
effective. It was pretty effective because it got in your head when you went in that refrigerator. I mean, it did.
Well, you're anticipating it when you open the door.
Yeah. And you have to basically open the door going, "Hey, fuck you, pig. I'm coming in." Okay? You have to sort of buy in.
Like at the beginning of the day, you're like, I haven't even eaten yet, so it doesn't affect me. But did it affect you? Like midnight, you're hungry. You want to scoop some of that Cool Whip into your hand.
I don't know. By the way, I'll be honest with you. I don't know what kind of impact it had on my psyche, but it was a weird thing. It was because it stayed in there. And I remember trying to take it out, and then my dad put it back in there. But it was, I know. This is getting super weird now.
Here's the funny thing about the pig. The pig loses at every turn when you think about it. Because you get to decide if you're going to eat that food or not. Pig's not making the decision for you. It's a deterrent, but it's a passive
35 years later, and I'm still talking about it, so it didn't lose.
I mean, here's the thing. It clearly worked because I've never known you in my entire life to be anything but a fit individual.
Yeah, it worked. It worked.
I mean
Gotta
today,
find this thing. I gotta
today
find
the fat shaming would come out of the
Oh
woodwork
my God.
for that. You would never be able to sell that.
I just told
today.
you two things. Husky jeans that were not necessary.
Are you sure those
And
weren't just a brand?
I am positive. By the way, they still make Husky jeans. They still make
I got to look this up.
Yeah, and the pig. It's so good. We should see if we can find that pig. It's pretty good.
I would like to hunt that thing down.
So Ben, you love guitars.
I do. I do. I do.
What I want to know is, do we know? I mean, I would assume by you writing it on a piece of paper, you're really well versed in the history and the creation of guitars as an instrument in society.
No, I'm
No,
not. I
okay.
wouldn't pretend to do that. I mean, I know a little bit.
I mean, think about the guy who sitting around and when? Like, how long have guitars been around?
Quite a very long time. I
Like
mean,
Egyptian times?
I don't know the origin of the stringed instrument. It wasn't a guitar back then, obviously.
You don't know the origin of the stringed instrument.
There were lutes and lyres in the past in ancient cultures, but the guitar as we know it today, the acoustic guitar is an evolution of those instruments, but the electric guitar is a 20th century invention, as I understand it. Les Paul was one of the the preeminent developers of that technology.
Did you teach yourself or did you have lessons?
I took lessons for a little while, pretty much through like junior high and high school. I took lessons. Most of those lessons consisted of me just saying, "Can you teach me this Rush song?"
and no internet, right? Like now,
No.
kids can just watch somebody teach them how to play a song.
I've learned how to play some of the songs I thought I knew how to play infinitely better because someone has put a video on YouTube, and I'm like, oh, I've been doing it wrong. This is how you do it.
Did the 16-year-old Ben Rabb with the Richard Marx haircut have a guitarist that he held in
yes, of
high
course.
regard? Was his pre-Rush, like who was it?
No,
Who-
it was Alex Lifeson. It still is.
Yeah.
It always will be. I mean, that is his sound.
and he's the guitar player of
Rush.
Okay.
Where
I don't know that.
Oh.
I know Geddy Lee. I just don't know.
Then you know 2/3, but I bet you know the third musician in Rush.
I don't.
Yes,
Neil?
you do.
Neil Peart?
Peart.
Where does Eddie Van Halen fall on that list for you?
I mean, Eddie Van Halen is amazing. I mean, definitely, maybe top 10. I love his playing. His playing is sort of otherworldly and pushes the boundaries of what you can do with that instrument. And it's just like full of surprises and personality and attitude. And I mean, that guy, what he did for that instrument in the late 70s, early 80s was unbelievable. Van Halen is a band. I like them. I'm not a huge fan, but a huge fan of his playing and his music, like, because that he's sort of like that driving force in a lot of the writing of their songs.
Who's the most overrated guitarist?
Overrated? I don't know. I don't want to call someone overrated. I feel like I'd rather talk about the positives.
How do you feel about Joe Satriani?
He's amazing. He's technically unbelievable, but that's not my style. Like, I like a little bit of I don't need to be so technically perfect and just beyond what most people can do. I like the feel of someone, and I know a lot of people relate to the feel of his playing. It just doesn't. It leaves me a little cold.
So slightly underrated.
No,
He's not overrated. It's just, again, it's all personal taste.
Yeah, no.
It's all.
I just recently went down a bit of a Van Halen sort of rabbit hole, and that's why I was asking about
So
him. Yeah, it's. I will say, I think the second you hear one of his licks, you immediately know it's him.
Yep.
And I would say, for me, like, I'm not a fan of this genre as much, but I will listen to it because of him as Stevie Ray Vaughan. Like, whenever you hear him, I know that's him immediately. Yeah. At least I think I do. So it's those two guys are just, they stand out above anybody from me.
I didn't realize until just recently. I was watching. There's this making of Thriller, the album documentary. Yeah. I don't know which platform it's on, but I had no idea. I don't know why I didn't realize it that Eddie Van Halen played.
Beat It.
Yeah,
I mean, it was him and then the guitarist of Toto,
Steve Lukather. Yeah,
the two of them were both playing on Beat It.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Steve Lukather's another great guitarist who I believe lives somewhere around here in Studio City.
What?
He is, I think, was a regular at Vitello's on Tahunga. Shout out to Vitello's on Tahunga. That I think, like, they named a meal after him, like something like that. Yeah. He may actually even performs there once in a while. I know they've got a jazz thing upstairs. I'm not sure if they still do that or not.
I didn't realize. I mean, Toto for me was always, Africa.
Mm-hmm.
sure.
Which is a really great song.
Yeah.
I mean, it's an amazing song.
Yeah.
Maybe it'll be on a piece of paper at some point. Just that song.
Well, how would we know? If it just says Africa, are we going to talk about the continent or the song?
That's actually a great question. If
We could talk about both, by the way.
what if who gets to decide the context of the piece of paper?
I think it starts with who wrote it down, and then it can go off from there wherever you want it to go.
Yeah.
Right, to the audience who's new, we like to meander.
Clearly.
Clearly,
We
as,
went from-
as Husky can evidenced
We
by
went
the
from
Husky story.
Guitars to Sega
To
Genesis
refrigerator
to
pigs.
fat shaming. So I don't know.
This is how the human mind works.
Anything goes. And a conversation.
Are you guys finding? I was asking this the other day of somebody. Do you find that, like, if you're looking at your phone and you're saying to yourself, like, you're multitasking, right? So you're on some social platform. I'm miming with my hand, and you're looking and reading something, but in the back of your head, you're like, oh, I got to go open that bank app, or I got to go to this other app in a second and do X, and then 5 seconds later, you've forgotten what you wanted to do. Like, does this happen to you guys?
Of course.
A lot.
Every day.
You just completely the train of thought.
Yeah.
Just is gone.
It's why I have Post-its all over my office here and all over my office at work. I do. I have to. If I don't write it down within 20 seconds, it's gone.
It's crazy.
Truthfully. Like, for example, I had probably 10 ideas that popped into my head for topics to put in the popcorn bowl throughout the week.
Yeah.
I forgot them within 20 seconds. So this morning I woke up and I was like, God, I can't remember. I was laying in bed at 6 a.m. and I was like, what were those topics? And I had like 2 that popped into my head, but I couldn't remember the other ones.
And neither of them were chosen today.
You could have put them in the bowl and we still wouldn't have got to it.
I wonder if they're even going into the bowl. I wonder if there's some parallel universe where all of your ideas are. There's like another podcast with 3 guys whose names are slightly different than ours.
God.
And every idea, what's his name? It's not Mitch. It's a different M. I don't know what it would be.
It's Husky?
Is it Mike? Mike. All of Mike's ideas are getting chosen.
Mike, Raul, and Ken.
Yes.
That's it.
I don't know how
That
we
works.
came with Raul.
Yeah.
Change the P to an R.
So all
I
these.
added a line to the P, and it became an R. and then it
I
became
see.
Raul.
Yeah.
I
Makes
see.
sense. I get that.
So I have an acoustic guitar.
Okay, what kind?
It's a really nice one. I don't know what the brand is.
All
This
right.
is what's horrible. And I got it as a birthday present. And everyone in my family will walk into my office where it is perched in the corner of the room, still in the case. Actually, when you open the case, it still smells brand new because
Ooh, I love a new guitar smell.
I haven't used it that much. I think that my problem is I know the core chords, right? Like I'm good with a D and a C and an A and an A minor and an E and an E minor, right? Like that's kind of the core.
No Fs.
F is a tough one.
The bar chord. But by the way, you don't have to play it as a bar chord. You can play it in a way that is a movable shape. That's the fun thing about chords is they are movable shapes that if you change their positioning on the neck,
Yeah.
go up to a higher fret, F becomes G, becomes an A, but it's the same shape.
Those are kind of the chords that I have never those are the 5 or 6 chords. Now we know that like
There's minor sevenths and diminished
no, I
ninths.
can't do any of that. So
There's a whole.
I can play "Don't Stop Thinking About Tomorrow" by
Sweet.
Fleetwood Mac.
All
That's D, A, and G, I think.
Cool.
And I think we know like there's like thousands of songs that only use like 3 chords.
Yeah, 3 or 4 chords and the truth.
But it doesn't feel like I'm that good. I mean, I'm not. But like when you see people truly play, like you can do that? You can do that. Like you're not just playing chords. Like you're picking notes. You're moving around the fret.
Sure, but now that I've gotten sort of into recording my own stuff on GarageBand, as we've covered in previous episodes.
Yes, we have composer.
The
composer of the music.
I've discovered my limitations, and I've been actually working on like one song that I'm trying to get a very Police-like influence to it. A little bit of Andy Summers, a little Sting, a little Stuart Copeland rhythm. But I'm discovering those songs are so simple, yet because those guys are so damn good at what they do, it's so hard to emulate, and it's so hard to try and do that. And I've been struggling like with just this one, like 2-minute piece of music because I can't get the sound that I know I want it to feel like and sound like. It's just it's in my head, but I can't execute it in my fingers. So there are people who can there's so many different styles of guitar playing, depending on the kind of music you like, and I'm in awe of anyone who can do any of those styles. Like there's the amazing people and there's the people who kind of suck, but they're doing it anyway, and you're like, more power to you. You're playing, you're having fun. That's what it's about.
How long did the Police? How long were they a band? This is a short run, right?
Late 70s to very early 80s.
So like almost a decade.
83, yeah. Pretty much.
they were good.
They had a different guitarist originally.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I forget the guy's name, but they brought on Andy Summers at the same time, and the other guy left the band because he was like, this ain't working.
But what they were doing was like they had like the reggae built in there. Like it was
reggae,
such
punk.
it was such a cool thing that no one has really tapped. At least I'm sure there's some people that have tapped into it, but like they just had their own lane. Felt like to me
That Synchronicity album was just gold.
Yeah,
Every song on that album,
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, I know a lot of people kind of disparage Ghost in the Machine, but I also love that
no
album.
way! I love that album.
But how do you really feel about Regatta? What's it called?
Regatta de Blanc.
Yeah.
That was their second album. It's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's some good stuff on.
I mean,
there's good
again,
stuff on all of them.
Are
Yeah.
you a da fan?
Zenyatta Mondada, yes, I like that album, but that song, it's okay.
I mean, here's what I'd say: if you put any of them on right now, they still hold up.
Yes.
and like that's
Agree.
the test, right? Like,
Yeah.
do they actually
They're
hold
great.
up? Yeah.
They're great. And also, when Sting goes and plays at the Hollywood Bowl, what percentage of the songs are police songs? I think we know the answer.
Yeah.
That's a testament to those tracks.
Does he play a lot of his stuff?
My daughter went. First of all, she's like, I just got invited. A friend of mine invited to go see somebody. She's like, I think it's Sting. I was like, you mean Sting? She's like, who's Sting? I'm like, oh my God. Let me play you these 10 songs. Like, she didn't care.
Does she know the literary reference of his name?
She does not, nor do I.
Sting isn't that the dagger from The Hobbit?
I don't know.
Or Lord
I
of
have
the
no
Rings
idea.
Yeah.
I mean, but do you think that's where it came from?
Yeah.
No.
I don't think
Well,
so.
don't forget he was an English teacher.
Huh?
Gordon
I didn't know that either. This is a whole nother topic.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Well,
I don't know the answer. I don't.
Yeah.
We'll have to get the answer.
Go ahead.
Well, no, I was going to say, or if as a listener out there, you can confirm or deny what Ben is his testimony today. Please
Well,
let us know.
We just had this conversation 2 nights ago where Owen, my son, tried to make the argument that Sting the wrestler, if you remember Sting the wrestler, do you remember him?
I do not.
Yeah,
Neither
he was.
do I.
I think he ran with Hulk Hogan back in the mid '90s. He was the world champion for 3 years. Owen tried to make the argument that more people know that Sting than the singer Sting.
Oh,
and
Owen's a brave boy.
Brave to call that out.
That is brave,
Kristen
Owen.
crushed him for about 10 minutes. It was pretty good. It was pretty good.
I think that's good. That's what parents need to do.
I think sometimes our kids do that just to sort of test us.
Yeah, I think so too. And I was like, I know Sting. I watch Sting. I love Sting. I'm telling you, he's not as big as the real Sting.
Right.
Yes.
So-
I think calling him out on that is good. I think the thing not to do probably is put something in the fridge where every time he opens it, you hear a little Sting playing.
Or
But if that pig played the Police, that would have been a very different experience.
that's a pretty good one. By
That'd
the
be
way, that
interesting.
might be an item we could design, right?
Right? We could change the chip.
I think the Etsy store is about 5 minutes from opening.
First merch.
No, first merch at the Etsy store for what are we talking about is the popcorn bucket.
Right. The popcorn bowl. The popcorn bowl. Bucket or bowl.
Yeah.
Listen, we should let people know if you've gotten this far, you are clearly a fan, and you should post about the show. You should be subscribed to the show. You should remind your friends and family.
Share it on social media.
That what are we talking about is available everywhere.
And I think we should also appreciate Paul's creativity with his post on social media, with I can't remember.
Our little teases.
The little
Our
teases,
visual
yeah.
teases.
Yeah.
We have a whole machine going here, and
And that machine is Paul. Let's be
That
honest.
machine is Paul.
and
He's driving
listen,
this.
this is it takes a village.
Yeah.
It takes a village. I think Ben, is there anything else in the world of guitars before we wrap this one up this week that you would like to get out there?
I would like to encourage anyone who has any inclination to want to play the instrument, if you have the means to do so, please do. It is highly fulfilling. It is a great way to pass the time and be creative and just entertain yourself and maybe the people around you. I love it, and I want you to love it too. And if you do, let us know.
And if you find that it seems overwhelming, there's always the harmonica.
Or just put down your phone, pick up an instrument. How about that? Does that sound old? Do I sound old?
Put down your phone and pick up an instrument.
Yeah.
I like it.
That's great.
I like it.
It's a nice sound bite. Way to end the show.
This is Paul,
This is Mitch.
This has been.
and that's what we were talking about.